Well, good evening, Commissioners. Let's begin tonight's meeting of the Clovis City Commission. We'll begin with a word of prayer, and then we will honor our flags. If you would, pray with me, please. Our Father in heaven, we praise you and thank you because you are worthy. We thank you that you've blessed us with so many riches. And Lord, thank you certainly for the community that you've called us all to live and work and serve in. And Lord, we ask that you would guide us this evening as we do the city's business, make us wise and good managers and good stewards of the resources you've blessed us with. We ask these things, I ask these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in honoring our country's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I salute the flag
of the state of New Mexico, the sea symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
This meeting is called to order. Ms. Reyes, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Madrid?
Here.
Commissioner Casals?
Here.
Commissioner Elliott?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant?
Here.
Commissioner Garza?
Here.
Commissioner Rowley?
Here.
Commissioner Paula?
Here.
Commissioner Burns?
Here.
Mayor Morris?
Here. Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Appreciate that. You know, Commissioner Madrid and Commissioner Elliott, this is your last one, huh?
This is it.
This is it, huh? Yeah.
This is it.
How's it feel? He gave us a thumbs up. All right.
Feels good.
Very good. Well, next is approval of the agenda. Commissioners, I imagine you've had the chance to review the agenda. Do you recommend rearranging or removing any of the items?
I would like to, Mayor,
Yes,
sorry.
Commissioner
I would
Casals.
like to take number 8 under the consent for discussion.
Okay. Very good.
I'll make a motion for approval with the changes.
I second that.
Okay. We'll see item 8 from the consent agenda under new business now. And we have the motion to approve with that one change from Commissioner Madrid and the second from Commissioner Garza. Commissioners, please vote. And by a vote of 8-0, the motion is carried, and we have approved tonight's agenda. Next is approval of minutes. We have the minutes from the Thursday, March 3rd, 2022 meeting in your packet. If you've had a chance to go through those, unless there are changes that need to be made, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes from
Second.
March the 3rd.
Motion to approve from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. The second came from Commissioner Paula. Commissioners, please vote. And by a vote of 8-0, the motion is carried. Thank you. Next is recognition of visitors. It is great to see so many people here this evening, and we look forward to hearing from you. Am I hearing something? Did you all hear that?
Yes.
Okay. Again, appreciate everyone taking an interest in the city's business. Thank you for being here. I would also like to thank those that may be viewing online. Appreciate your interest in what your city commission is doing. And again, we do look forward to hearing from you when we reach the point in the agenda that you're here to speak with us about. Next is proclamations, awards, and presentations, and we have a couple of planned presentations there this evening. Presentation of clocks to Distinguished Supervisor of the Quarter, Lieutenant Rodriguez with the Police Department, and Distinguished Line Employee of the Quarter, Mr. Huckins with Public Works. And it looks like we will hear from Captain Romero on this.
Believe it or not, Lieutenant Rodriguez is a very, very shy person. Chief Wright's going to be available tonight. He wasn't feeling so hot, so I get the pleasure of talking about Lieutenant Rodriguez. Lieutenant Rodriguez has been with the Clovis Police Department for 13 years. He came here after marrying into the town, right? Yes, sir. A man of few words. But a man of action. During the last quarter plus, he is my go-to guy. For his silence and stoic nature, he is quite the paperwork shuffler, believe it or not. But he's capable of doing so much more. His skills with our fleet, his skills with being able to manage grants that we depend on for our traffic safety unit and for the traffic safety of most of our motoring public around here, falls onto Lieutenant Rodriguez's head. In that, he got a little injured and got moved from his shift, so I'm not sure if he got injured to stay off a graveyard or whatever, but we found the best use of him. And he was there at our transition and was my most important right arm during that time frame. As with any other transitions, you're going to experience one in the next month or so, and there's an alteration, there's a change. And without having people that are with you, people like Lieutenant Rodriguez, people like our sergeants, without those people. I just got pointed, I'm not close enough to the mic. One of you could have said something.
I could hear you, Captain. But thank you.
But without highly motivated, well-working supervisors and our chiefs, our captains, our department cannot look as good as it is. It is actually the people that work hard day to day that allow us to serve as well as we can. Come on, doggo.
Speech.
Something.
Like he said, I'm not originally from here. Married my wife. She just walked in.
She just
somewhere.
walked in, yeah.
Right there. And came here. Started at the jail. Was there for about a month and a half. Then went to the PD. Been there about 13 and a half years. And I enjoy what I do, so I keep asking for more to do. Keeps me busy. Keeps my time going by quick. So
Awesome.
that's all I got.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Lieutenant. We're fortunate to have you serving the community in the capacity that you do, and we're very proud that you were recognized with this. And I have a clock for you, so I'll make my way down to hand that to you, and I believe they'll want a photo. Commissioners, any comments that you have, please fire away.
Lieutenant Rodriguez, congratulations, first of all, but thank you for what you do for the city of Clovis.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate what you do for citizens of Clovis.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Very much. We appreciate you. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations and thank you for what you do for the city.
Thank you, sir.
Now, your wife needs to get on the picture now. You know, she's the one that tells you what to do, how to do things. Lieutenant.
Next, I would ask Mr. Clint Bunch if he would like to share with us about Mr. Huckins Award in recognition.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. It's my honor to introduce you to the Distinguished Employee of the Quarter, Mr. Alan Huckins. Mr. Alan Huckins came to us about a year ago to Public Works, and he's been a really breath of fresh air for Public Works. When you're working with a bunch of guys that's been there a long time, you know, the crusty old guys that I work with. Mr. Huckins is a very pleasant person. Mr. Huckins comes by my office early every morning, and says, "Good day, sir, how are you doing?" He approaches everybody like that. He's very diligent in his duties. Mr. Huckins is a mechanic for the department. He does a great job at that. When things come in, you know, anytime somebody brings us a vehicle or equipment, it's an emergency to them. no matter what it is to us, it's an emergency to whoever's without that piece of equipment. Mr. Huckins stays very pleasant with everybody in every situation, very diligent. Whenever the unit comes in, he not only fixes the problem that the people are having with the equipment, if there's any other safety concerns, he will not let that vehicle leave the shop before it is fully, thoroughly checked and ready to go back out on the road. But like I said, he's a great asset to the department and to the city, and I look forward to many years of him working with us.
Mr. Huckins, thanks for what you do for the city of Clovis. The citizens are fortunate to have folks like you providing the services and doing the work, so thank you. And we obviously would give you a moment if you'd like to say something, and then I'll be down to hand you a clock.
All right, thank you. I grew up with my father who taught me all about mechanics. At first, I absolutely despised it. It got dirty. It was very difficult. Heavy equipment was very big and unwieldy, but after about 6 years, I fell in love with it, and it's a kind of a blessing to get into a career path that I can spread the positivity that I have and try to make the world a better place, one person at a time, one vehicle at a time. And yeah, I think the world needs that kind of push in the direction of, well, friendship, like New Mexico is founded on. So, yeah.
Well said. Thank you. And thank you for being an ambassador of positivity. We appreciate that. Commissioners, anything you'd like to share?
Just want to congratulate you on your award, but, thanks for your commitment to your department and to the city. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yep. Most welcome. Most welcome.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it so much.
If you do any moonlighting, would you come see me?
I'm unaware of the term, actually. Moonlight?
Work for somebody after hours.
Oh, yeah. I do side gigs, so if anyone is
All right,
looking for
side gig.
panic.
Always good to be able to do that. Thank you. And once again, to these two fabulous employees of the city. Next, we will move into receipts of petitions and communications. And I think we have our Parks Director. Oh, I'm sorry. We had a proclamation make it on the way, or make it onto the agenda this evening, and that's my mistake. We have a proclamation related to Transit Driver Appreciation Day. And is Miss Mary Lou Kemp here this evening?
There she is.
Yeah. Good evening, Ms. Kemp.
Good evening.
I'm happy the commission and I are happy to present a proclamation this evening, and we'd love to give you the floor to share with us about things happening with CATS and transit drivers in general. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. I want to take this opportunity to thank our drivers for everything that they do for the community on a daily basis. We provide a very special service to those in need and to be able to enable them to get to services that they are unable to do without transportation. So tomorrow will be a special day to celebrate those drivers.
Well, thank you for that. I love the ties.
Oh, thank you.
Whose idea was that?
That was something fun that we did for the drivers today.
I like it. Very good. Well, I would love to share the proclamation now.
Thank you.
Whereas transit drivers are committed to providing safe, reliable, and sustainable transportation to residents in the city of Clovis who depend on transit to go to work, school, and other destinations safely and on time. And whereas transit drivers perform admirably under difficult weather and traffic conditions, maintaining schedules, offering directions, announcing stops, and providing many other forms of customer service while maintaining their focus on safe driving. And whereas transit drivers exercise patience, empathy, humor, and understanding while acting as leaders and role models for each other, their communities, and the residents they serve. And whereas transit drivers support Clovis's current and future growth and prosperity, allowing commerce to move freely on roads, expanding access to education and work opportunities, and providing transportation to visitors from around the world. And whereas transit drivers across Clovis merit appreciation, gratitude, and respect for their public service on Transit Driver Appreciation Day throughout the year. Now therefore, I, Mike Morris, Mayor of the City of Clovis, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim tomorrow, March 18th, 2022, as Transit Driver Appreciation Day in the City of Clovis, and I urge citizens to show their appreciation and gratitude to all transit drivers.
And Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, while y'all are receiving the award and the proclamation, we actually had one of our drivers, Mr. James Lasser, who competed at the state rodeo competition and won third place in the paratransit bus division. So our drivers are very good at their craft and what they do. So the proclamation is definitely worth it. So thank you.
Thank you for adding that, Mr. Howalt. Don't go anywhere. So we're talking about a bus rodeo?
We are talking about a bus rodeo.
Can you expand on that? Can you tell us about that?
Each year, the Department of Transportation and the New Mexico Transit Association host a bus rodeo for small buses of the size that we drive, and also the large coaches. And there's 3 components to the rodeo. There's a course competition that they have to drive on. They also have to compete and show their skills doing wheelchair passengers and how their safety skills are, they're judged on their safety skills doing so. And they also do a pre-trip inspection on the bus. So those 3 components are what they're judged on.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Once again,
And thank you for this honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well. We will move out of presentations and into receipts of petitions and communications. And our Parks Director, Mr. Hooper, has something to share with us, I believe. He says, come on.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, thank y'all for letting me introduce someone. We've recently hired a new recreation administrator, Mr. Tari Curry. He was actually named after the county. He started Monday, and we've already started throwing him in the deep end, obviously putting him here on camera. So he's ready for the big questions. He is out of Houston. He has a bachelor's degree coming out of South Carolina. I'm trying to get my norths and my souths and my backgrounds. He is already driving me crazy with new ideas and new thoughts and positive attitude and everything else, and I love it. Just really wanted to make sure I introduced him to everybody so everyone got a good look, and you know who he is now, the official complaint department for parks. But no, I just wanted to introduce him to y'all.
Appreciate that. Welcome, Mr. Curry. Glad to have you here. Thank you.
We're good.
All right. Next, under receipts of communications, I believe we have a video. If IT could prepare to share that video with us, but we wanted to, I wanted to, and I know others do as well, want to recognize Commissioner Burns. Commissioner Burns traveled to Washington, D.C. last week to the Association of Defense Communities Conference, and I made that trip as well, and so did the city manager. Commissioner Burns, it was great to have him there as city commissioner, but he actually made the trip representing himself and Committee of 50 because he was honored with the Defense Community Champion Award. He was one of 10 recipients of this award, 10 recipients across the country of this award. ADC, Association of Defense Communities, recognizes individuals in communities that support military installations. Recognize those individuals that demonstrate a great understanding of the importance of supporting our military installations. And James Burns has done that for sure over the years, has been a terrific example of that and of supporting Cannon Air Force Base. So it was an honor for me to be there and be on hand to witness him receiving the award. And I believe that's what we have video of, if we could play that.
Clovis, New Mexico. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Clovis, it is very remote, but its history connects back nearly 12,000 years and was home to some of the earliest inhabitants of North America. It's a proud community, especially when you're talking about Cannon Air Force Base, and its biggest advocate is a humble man who is also well known for his day job, the owner of 3 hardware stores, which are aptly named Burns Do-It Centers. He has been a member of the Committee of 50, the military affairs arm of the Clovis-Curry County Chamber of Commerce, for decades. And if anyone here remembers BRAC 2005, this is one group of advocates you can never discount. As a rural defense community, Clovis may have 3 Starbucks, but it did lack the services more urban installations have, which represented a problem that James set out to resolve. He was instrumental in the recent passage of state legislation to recognize many military spouses' professional licenses from other states. And in another instance, James learned that airmen and military family members who needed certain forms of specialized medical care had to drive an hour to Lubbock, Texas. He went to work and took on the role of a recruiter. Within 2 years, that hospital had hired 9 new specialists, most of whom said they came to Clovis directly because of his outreach. These are 2 individuals who have made it their job to make sure their base and their community have what they need to meet the mission and to be a great place to live. Please join me in welcoming Dr. David Smith and Mr. James Burns to the stage.
First, I'd like to thank the Clovis Chamber of Commerce, especially Rachel Forrester, for nominating me, and also for all of Rachel's work in helping me through the years with all the projects that we get involved in. My goal, our goal in Clovis, is for the Air Commandos at Cannon Air Force Base, whenever they separate or retire, look back on their career and they say, you know, Cannon was the best assignment that we ever had. Thank you very much.
So the video may have been a little bit hard to hear as the lady was introducing James, but he was recognized, and deservedly so, because he's been a great supporter of Cannon Air Force Base for many, many years. But he was recognized in particular for his efforts to recruit medical specialists to our community. And so the video may have been a little bit hard to hear as the lady was introducing.
Feedback there.
Like hearing me once isn't enough, right? So, but the other thing, and this was a big deal. I believe it was in the 2019 session at legislative session here at the state level. Commissioner Burns was instrumental in getting legislation passed, which makes professional licenses held by spouses of military members portable to the state of New Mexico. And this is a key quality of life issue that the Air Force has recognized. So for him to lead that charge, as well as the other things that he's done to support Cannon, was just really outstanding, and I'm glad that he was recognized. If we could give him a round of applause, please. Commissioner, I hope we've not put you on the spot too much. I'd give you the opportunity to say anything you like. Maybe you'd tell us about how heavy and how sharp that trophy was that they handed you?
They did warn us that was sharp and heavy, and I tried to get the mayor and the city manager to carry it around for me, but they wouldn't do it, so I had to risk my life getting that thing home. But at any rate, yeah, this was unexpected, Mayor. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. But one thing I need to make clear, and unfortunately the ADC gave me credit for all of those actions, but I was just merely the peg that led other folks. And this was a community effort. Everything that we do at Cannon is a community effort. So thank you for this.
You're very welcome. Congratulations once again. Very good. All right, next, I'd like to call on Mr. Alcott for an update pertaining to the golf course.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. I wanted to come here today. We get a lot of feedback on the golf course, good, bad, indifferent. We've been going at this now, I think, with Touchstone almost 3 years. We've delivered out of the 2 years prior and on pace to do it again. We've delivered budget every single year. The irrigation project, which you all approved, finished in early May. The lake was filled and the pump station was ready to go by June. It's been a blessing for us. I mean, it's been amazing. We were lucky to get a ton of rain, which helped kind of kick the golf course in place. We've got an abundance of Bermuda grass out there, and that was our goal, was to get most of the fairways covered in grass. I know the homeowners that live on the golf course along with the golfers. It was always a frustration. You go back there and you had to roll your ball, 10 feet this way, 10 foot that way to get grass to hit off of. And it's going in the right direction, and we're excited about that. We've always been short on water, and the reclaimed water is kind of the next step that comes in, and expecting that to be here by, let's say, the end of the month or, first part of April. That's going to allow us to water the course like it's meant to be. In past years, we've had to unfortunately choose water fairways every 3 or 4 days, pick and choose when you're going to water greens, and it's tough. It's tough to grow grass whenever you're running into not having enough water to actually put down. So we're looking forward to the water coming, the affluent that's coming for the city. We've done a lot this winter. We have added some greens heads in the irrigation design on the back. We added heads. We have 2 heads, one that waters the green surface and one that waters around the green surface. It allows us to pinpoint and know exactly how much water is getting on the greens at one point. And so we started doing that project on the front 9 this year, which has helped us with some of our greens. We've struggled with having to hand water them more because the spacing and the coverage is a little bit too far for those sprinklers to actually cover. So it's given us some time to actually focus on some of those projects. Looking at the back 9, we did start back 9 most of this winter. We started Monday through Thursday. We had all of our people starting on the back 9. I would say during the week, 75% of our play is 9 holes. And what that allowed us to do is to get out there and focus on the breaks, focusing on, getting the course in better shape. When we aerified last year, we had some issues with some of the front greens, and I'll get to that here in just a little bit. Some of that kind of entailed into it, so we wanted to give them a little bit of break. We didn't want all that play on the front 9, and it gave it a chance to heal, and we've noticed some progress on them already through the winter, even though the grass isn't growing as much, which is going to set us up to me, for the future in the spring. As far as the greens are considered, right now, they're tough. We got them to a really good point at our city championship, which is early September. We lost our superintendent August 1st. It took us 2 months to get somebody in place. In that amount of time, the weeds have been there. They've actually been there for a little while. Done multiple applications when Steve Lewis, our previous superintendent, was there. It just didn't get them all. And so moving into winter, without a superintendent in place, we worked with our agronomist. His name's Bill Nareth through GMS. We decided to hold off on killing the weeds, wait till grass was going to grow in the spring. Temperatures were up there where we could kind of, we could reseed, we could get the weeds out of the greens and get them back to where we would all like those greens to be at that point. So that's kind of the play moving forward. We're doing aerification here end of March 28th through the 31st. So we'll close down the front 9 for 2 days, reopen it, close the back 9 for 2 days, and that's gonna allow aerification is a huge part of these golf courses. And it's, as a golfer, not knowing the process and understanding it, it's always frustrating to get out there and the greens have sand on them. But it's a crucial thing that we need to do. In doing so, we're going to be out there, we're going to verticut the greens, and we're going to get them all set up to go. April 11th, we're actually going to start the killing of the weeds. And when I say that, we're gonna spray them, and each week thereafter, we're gonna actually spot spray these weeds. We've got, they're in all of the greens, but we've got some greens. Number 14 is probably our worst on the golf course right now, so we're going to concentrate on pulling those out of there. We are also going to focus on, and we've done it once since Touchstone has been there, but we're gonna aerify and punch and overseed all our tee boxes back to ryegrass. It's a grass that it'll grow most of the year, and that's kind of a key factor. We're going to leave all the fairways Bermuda and get those back there. We did make strides end of last year after aerification. We had some damage done to our greens. We got to seed those in. We took some off of our putting green, and we got those all filled back in. So that vandalism was completely gone, which has been kind of a nice thing to see out there. Right now, at this point, our focus is to get rid of the weeds in the greens themselves. So that's kind of our plan. After that, I've sent Justin, and we've got kind of our action plan for our Kim and FERC plan. We're gonna concentrate on that, and then we're gonna continue adding different things on the front 9. To me, our irrigation system is still a struggle on the front, but nowhere near what it was beforehand. The back was definitely our Achilles heel, which has definitely helped us out in the long run. Looking over everything, we're going to be applying wetting agents. We've got our superintendent that's currently out there. He'll get his application license at the first of next week, and so we'll be set up to go for the summer. So, I appreciate it. We just wanted to kind of come in front of everybody and let you know kind of where the golf course has been, kind of where we're going, and see if you guys had any questions or from there.
I appreciate the update on addressing the weeds and even hearing a little bit about the fertilizer application plans and all those kinds of things. Can you talk to us about rounds played and just how things are going as far as folks using the golf course?
Yeah, so when we took over in 2018, rounds were just under 20,000. After our first fiscal year budget, which is July of 19 to June of 20, we raised that to just a hair over 2,100. The next year we were at little over 2,400, almost 2,500. This year we've already seen about another 10% uptick in rounds. So rounds have been growing, and I think I can't say COVID was good for anything, but it brought a lot of golfers out there. There wasn't a lot to do. Things were shut down, so it was nice to see people to be able to get outside and enjoy the game. We had some closures obviously there as well, but even through COVID and everything, we've seen an uptick. Restaurant has picked up huge, trying to just stay consistent with our product and what we have there. Obviously, everybody deals with staffing, and so that's been a struggle in its own. But the banquet service and all that's picking up as well. So overall, we're on pace already. We're probably 30% ahead of where we were last year, as a whole.
Very good. Several meetings ago, this commission approved purchasing a new oven, I think it was.
Yes.
Has that come in?
It's been fantastic.
Okay.
It was there within 2 weeks. I want to thank Mr. Garza for that. We went onto that website. It was in stock. We ordered it, and I bet within 2 weeks we had that grill up and running. We had Mark Carpenter come out and install that, and it's been fantastic.
Very good.
No struggles there. So thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Alcott.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners, just a moment. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Alcott? Okay, I guess I held you up for no reason.
No, you-
Thanks. Very good. Okay, folks, we are in receipts of petitions and communications, so this is the period in the meeting where if you're here to share whatever it is you would like with this commission, now is the time. And we just need your name and address for the record. And your address?
1816 Avondale, Clovis, New Mexico. I live on the golf course, gentlemen, and I'm here I offered, and when I say this guy, when I refer to this guy, this is the only thing that we have from Touchstone that I can refer to. So I'm going to say this guy, okay? When I refer to Touchstone, I'm going to refer refer to this guy, okay? I'd like to begin by thanking commissioners for hearing me. We have a big, big, big problem at our golf course. Huge problem. On December 13th, I invited the mayor and your city manager to come and talk to me and look at our golf course. They met me there. I was gonna buy them lunch, talk over a few things, but they weren't interested in me serving them lunch or anything like that. They walked out to the putting green. This is what they stood there, on the putting green. They didn't want to look at our golf course. They didn't want to see anything I had to show them. And I had a lot to show them. I wanted to show them the bear traps, everything else. We don't have any bears out there. All we have is golfers. He's got ropes around everything. We can't go anywhere. It's not handicap accessible. He's being, when I say him, I'm talking about Touchstone. He's the only representative, okay? It's not handicap accessible. I play with a 92-year-old man, and we have to hold the ropes down for him. He can only get so far to the green. He ought to drive on the green. Everywhere else we go, they let him get as close as they want to. They don't have this stuff. People, I need your help. We have a problem out there. Okay, December 13th, that's a very good thing to listen to, because these two guys were out there with me. They didn't see anything. Took 5 minutes. Listen to one thing I had to say. They weren't interested. I hope one of you guys are interested enough to help us. Because without a little grace and mercy out there, fellas, there is no forgiveness. This guy has no forgiveness to anybody. He runs out there like Hitler, ruling, making up his own laws.
Mr. Gutierrez, could you please just kind of stay on topic? Let's not
It
talk
is a
about other people.
topic. It is a topic, sir.
If you could,
You guys were out there.
Please.
Both of you, you could have solved that problem that day, sir. Okay, I'm gonna stay on topic. Okay, I'm gonna read you the RFP, just the first two. Providing high-quality, state-of-the-art golf course operations with emphasis on excellent golf course playability, exceptional level of customer service. Maintaining golf course and all facilities to preserve and enhance the city's investment. Ladies and gentlemen, I implore you, go out there, take 30 minutes of your day, go look at our golf course. There's more weeds than there is grass on our greens right now. There's no need for that. I offered 2 years ago free service for the golf course. They were not interested. I wanted to spray all their greens. I wanted to get them in shape. They were not interested. Free. I was going to fertilize them. I was going to get the weeds out of them. It's not rocket science. 2,4-D. Boom, boom. You're done. 2 years ago, we wouldn't be in this problem if we'd have took us up on that. Free. Okay? My kids. I call them my kids because they play golf with me. They're not my literal kids, but I call them my kids. I treat them like my kids. One of my kids is in trouble right now for chasing a duck. Didn't hurt the duck, but now he's going to lose his job. Because somebody wrote a letter to our government, 26-year-old man, height of his career. He's going to lose his job because he chased a duck that he I guess he says that ducks are protected out there. I don't know, but the city's out of order there. They're only supposed to have 25 geese on their property. We're not doing nothing about it. I mean, we chase them all every day. Get them out of the way. There's a friend of mine killed a duck on number 1, teeing off. He didn't get suspended. He didn't lose his job. He didn't. People, this is asinine, what's happening at our golf course. I feel like I got to carry a camera around. I feel like I'm threatened every time I go in there. And I have been threatened in there. And so has several other people. We can't have that. This is a golf course. We're supposed to have fun. Golf is supposed to be fun. This guy, this company, this guy, Touchstone, this guy's Touchstone, has taken the foot out of Clovis, New Mexico golf. He has ruined their golf course. Go look at it. I implore you, go look at it. If you think it's okay, keep them. But my kid's chasing a duck that he overserved, got him drunk. He's overserving my kids. Look at the film. I'm sure you guys have already looked at it. What should we do about that? He hurt me. I'm 5 weeks. I'm just now getting back in shape, tripping over one of his bear traps out there. Took 5 weeks out of my life. Time, you can't get back, ladies and gentlemen. Money, you can make back. But he's not getting punished for all the people that he's run off. I don't know how our golf is up. He must have 40 employees out there that play golf every day.
Mr. Gutierrez, if you would, make your last couple of
My
points and wrap
last,
up, because we do have
my
other
last
people.
is December 13th. These two gentlemen had a chance to see what I'm talking about. They refused. To even hear anything I had to say or look. They were not interested. People, I need somebody to help me out there. We got a guy making up rules as they go. Do we not have any rules on playing golf? If we make a mistake, do we get kicked off for a year? Everybody makes mistakes, people. We're not perfect. But a kid's going to lose his career chasing a duck. He's hurting people out there left and right. And with his bear traps, nothing's done to him. What are we going to do, ladies and gentlemen? I implore you, go look at our golf course. See if our investment that the city's making is paying off. We have spent millions of dollars out there, ladies and gentlemen. If you'd have given the last guy this much, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. Ms. Elliott. Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
For the record, my name is Kathy Elliott. I'm at 601 Rosewood Drive, and with me is Susan Allman. Happy St. Patrick's Day. We will change the flow, the tone of this meeting this evening, and I want to say thank you, commissioners, Commissioner Elliott and Commissioner Madrid, for your time served here with the city. We greatly appreciate it. And for Commissioner Burns, we really do appreciate all your efforts with Cannon Air Force Base. Thank you. Tonight, we are here to ask your help in one simple matter. I actually reached out this week to Commissioner and Helen, and we talked a little bit about the animal shelter, Commissioner Casals. And we are here, I am here representing a lot of the different animal groups, the rescue groups that are around Clovis. They are doing a tremendous job right now of helping to pull all the animals, most of the animals, out of the animal shelter. They need a little bit of help from you right now in the fact that the animal shelter currently is open on Monday through Friday from 10 to 4. The only thing that we're asking at this point is to not increase the number of hours that are actually used, but to shift those hours so that we could have a Saturday opening. and being the fact that right now there's a change in kind of management out there and a change in the police chief, we are seeing if this might be a new horizon for the animals, to see if we can take maybe one position, shift to a Tuesday through Saturday, or close on Mondays and have a Tuesday through Saturday schedule. It is virtually impossible for a person who is working to be able to go and choose an animal and rescue them during those 10 to 4 hours. It's very difficult to get out there on your lunch break or whatever it may be to help facilitate the needs of getting an animal. And as you know, our goal here is to rescue them, not to euthanize. So, from all of the animal shelters to you, we say, please help us help the community. Have anything?
I just want to say hi. I'm Susan Allman. I live at 401 7th Street, Melrose, New Mexico. I'm the treasurer for Adopt a Pet Society. We are a new rescue in town. We've been in business about a year. This is our yearly month. And like Kathy said, we do need your help. I've been out there to pull an animal, and I've had to take time off work to go out to get that accomplished because that's the only time that it can be done. The people that can afford to adopt the pets and afford to maintain the welfare of their animals are the ones that are working 9 to 5. We do need a Saturday open, even if it's not every Saturday. At least a couple of Saturdays we need open. And if we can just shut down Monday, open up Saturday, kind of sounds like a win-win to me. But that's my opinion. I don't get paid the big bucks. Okay, well, I just wanted to say thank you, and yeah, we do need your help. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Allman. Thank you, Ms. Elliott. We appreciate you bringing that before us. Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Tom Drake, 2305 Miller Street. Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. I want to thank you for your past support of the golf course and your current support of the golf course on the infrastructure improvements, the sprinkler system. It's well needed, and I certainly appreciate all that. I want to share a couple of opinions with you, and those opinions are based on experience, golfing experience. I started playing golf when I was 12 or 13 years old, and I'm 62, so there's a pretty good gap in there of experience. And I've played all over the Southwest, Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, and I played probably 80 to 90% of the golf courses here in New Mexico. And I can tell you that most recently I play probably within a 100-mile radius, 4 or 5 different golf courses, 12 Shores, Tucumcari, Hereford, Lovington, and on a consistent basis, when you compare those golf courses to this golf course is significantly inferior. And I don't understand why that is the way it is, but those are smaller communities with a lot less resources and support that this golf course has been given. I don't know what's in the contract with Touchstone. I haven't read it. I really don't care to read it. But that is the way it is. And last Saturday was in Lovington playing, and the pro shared with us that members of the Lovington golf team came up here and played. And these are their words, not mine. They told him this golf course was in terrible condition. So, I share these things with you because, I have an opinion, like I said, based on experience, and I believe that we can do better than we are. We deserve better, and with the investment that's been made out there. And so I would respectfully ask for accountability from Touchstone on the maintenance and condition of the golf course, because, like I said, we deserve it, and the investment and the support is there for it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Drake. Yes. Mr. Lincoln, your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, Mike. My name is William Lincoln, 1816 Bob J. Drive. First, I want to thank you for hearing me today. And secondly, I want to thank you as part of the community college. I am the instructor, the beginning golf instructor at the college. On part of myself and my students, we appreciate the support that you've given the community and also to the golf course to allow us to use that for our course that we have. This semester alone, I have 6 people who are taking it basically as a pass-fail course. I have actually 3 students who are taking it for a grade this time, and that is up about 10% from the fall semester. But I do want to commend Keaton and Josh from Touchstone on the job that they have done. If you remember before they took it over, it was, to me, it was not nearly as nice as it is now. And I understand that there is time, if you maintain your own grass in your own yard, the amount of water that you put onto it and the fertilizer and all the other things that you put onto it, it's going to take time for it to come up. And when you're talking Bermuda grass, that's even more because it's temperature sensitive. And it requires, again, an awful lot of water. The improvements that they have made, I think, eventually will come to fruition, and that they should be thanked for the work that they've really done. As far as the bear traps, as an instructor, I'm teaching my students the etiquette of the game. Part of that is to take care of the course. As a player, I've seen many people drive the cart right up on top of the green, so I understand what they're doing with roping it off so that they can keep the greens in good shape without being damaged. From a personal aspect, I've walked on St. Andrews. You don't drive a cart on St. Andrews. You walk it. And so I just think sometimes I've seen some of the handicapped carts, and I've thought that they were a little closer than what I would have expected to be on top of the green. I understand the gentleman's position and the things that he needs, but he also needs to think about the other golfers and the condition of the course. I understand what Keaton and Josh are trying to do out there, and I thank you for listening to me, but also to thank them and your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lincoln. Yes, sir. If we could have your name and address, please.
Dustin Anderson, 1715 Fairway Terrace, Clovis, New Mexico. Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Let's see here. I'll start off by saying I've been in Clovis for 17 years. I served 22 years in the Air Force. I just retired recently. The majority of my time has been here in Clovis. I love it here. My wife and family's from here. It's grown on me, the community, the people. I would like to advocate as well on behalf of Mr. Drake and Mr. Gutierrez, but the golf course 3 years ago, I'm sorry, I don't know what this gentleman was talking about, was absolutely pristine. One of the best greens in the state of New Mexico. From that day that Touchstone has taken over, the golf course has declined significantly. I have played all over the world, not just the United States. I'm talking the world. I played hundreds and hundreds of golf courses. This is hands down one of the worst golf courses I've ever played. The greens are in The worst condition I've ever seen here since I've been here in 17 years. As far as people playing, they pay marshals or they give them golf for marshals out there. So what are they doing? That's my next question. Why people are driving on greens, I have no idea. I've never seen that personally. The only one that's done it is our elderly gentleman that can barely walk, which they accommodate for, which I appreciate that. I don't know where everybody keeps getting up here and saying that this course is in great shape and it looks great. It does not. My son is on the golf team for the school. I'm nervous, you guys, that we have districts here this year. The district tournament is here this year. I am scared to bring in other people to see this course like in this condition it's in. Everybody thinks that we're after Mr. Alcott and Touchstone and those guys. We're not. I want this golf course to be good. I want it to be good. What we're asking for is your guys' help, what we need to do to take that next step forward. That's what we really need to look at. Because I'm sorry, guys, it's been 3 years. You guys didn't give Charlie 3 years. You guys got him out of there very quick. I'm sorry, but in any corporation, any business, any government entity, if somebody's not doing something after 3 years, why are they still there? No corporation would handle that. Nobody. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to be honest. And I want our community to grow, and I want the golf course to grow and be better. And I feel like we're at a standstill. We keep declining instead of going upwards. I appreciate your guys' time and listening to me. I hope you guys hear what I'm saying. And I hate to be negative about this, but I want you guys to understand where all of us are coming from. It's not just the 4 or 5 of us. It's the entire golf community that golfs out there, besides 3 or 4 people that have all complained to me personally. Thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Appreciate you.
And Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, and just for the record, Real Golf and Mr. Maciel, the city of Clovis had nothing to do with the exit of Mr. Maciel and Real Golf. He actually approached the city of Clovis wanting out of the contract. So just for the record, the city of Clovis had nothing to do with Mr. Maciel's exit.
Thanks for that, Mr. Howalt. It was before my time, and so I appreciate that explanation. Anyone else have anything they want to share with this commission tonight?
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes, Commissioner Casals.
Does Touchstone, how often do they come? I mean, the general manager or owner or whoever, do they come periodically and check the golf course? Or do they just hear from Keaton on his reports? Or how often have we had the golf course inspected by somebody that knows what to do?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioner Casals, and Keaton can follow up as well. No, absolutely. So Bill Nareth, who he has mentioned is the agronomist, comes out routinely to look at the golf course, as well as Brian Melody, who is, I believe, their regional manager. He's in Denver. He comes down as well. Obviously, during COVID, so the last 2 years, when travel was limited, he wasn't able to make it out as often as he would have liked. But he certainly has been down. I've met with him personally at the golf course and talked about the vision and the plans that they have.
I think the next time he comes, he should probably have a town hall meeting or some sort of a meeting with these gentlemen that have these concerns. I also don't understand the bear traps. What are we trying to catch?
Yeah. Thank you, and Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioner South. I think what they're referring to as the bear traps, obviously, is we have the greens cordoned off to prevent, there's lots of geese on the golf course, and trying to keep the geese off of the greens. My understanding is that they will peck at the grass, and so we're obviously trying to protect those greens. It's not an uncommon practice. There's golf courses all over this nation that have to cordon off certain areas. Their deer get on golf courses. I mean, they try to protect the turf. In regards to the ropes that are further away from the greens, as they mentioned, we have attempted and had cart signs out to direct the carts away from the greens towards the cart paths. And unfortunately, the rules that we've established aren't necessarily followed, and so sometimes you need positive reinforcement.
So the bear traps are not really bear traps, they're ropes.
No, ma'am.
Commissioner, I'm not aware of a bear problem in Clovis.
One more question. Do we review the contract? How often? Or is it up for review?
It has terms on it. And so, off the top of my head, it was either a 4 or 5 year contract. And so that's what we have with Touchstone. And then at the end of that period, I think there is a potential for renewal, but without looking at the contract again and refreshing my memory exactly on those details. But yes, I mean, just like all of our contracts.
Okay, because
there's
I think the
terms.
commissioners need to probably review the contract when it is up.
Certainly, it's absolutely up to your discretion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mayor,
Sir.
something I was just wondering, and Commissioner Casals, thank you for, I was wondering what bear trap is. But, you know, we've had unusually drought conditions for quite some time. And also where we've dug the lake out and all that and put in all the new pumps and things like that. Is that not a lot of reason that we've got some really problems in the greens and things like that? Is that something that probably causes a lot of the problem?
Fair question. So the question you're asking is, have the drought conditions contributed to the course being in the state that it is? And then on top of that, maybe some of the construction that's gone on out there?
Yeah.
I don't have the answer, but perhaps Keaton does, or Mr. Howalt, either one.
Yeah, I am definitely not an agronomist, so I am. I'll let Mr. Audit respond, and I know that he, like I said, he's had conversations obviously with the agronomist.
And we will hear from Mr. Kenyon when we maybe get that answer first.
Yeah, no,
Let's have you
come
come up there.
Come up.
To the podium.
The drought, no, that wouldn't have anything to do with the condition of the greens. The weeds have been there, and we've acknowledged that. We've sprayed them. It hasn't, we've just left them. It got to a point where we had to make a decision to let them go through the winter, knowing that if we killed the grass at that time of year, there's a chance that we would just leave dirt on the greens. So there'd be a lot of voids. Now, when winter came along and the greens went, let's say, dormant, they don't really quite go dormant, but they grow at a slower rate. The weeds shriveled up, and so it made a lower green surface, and so your ball bounces around a lot more. We made the conscious decision to wait until the growing season to get rid of the weeds. We understand the greens are not in good conditions. I understand that. It is our top priority, just like everybody's saying, our top priority to get those greens back to where they're acceptable. I would love to have the best greens around here, and we're gonna do everything we can. When the plan's followed and we can do that, we have the right people in place to do that, and we can get them a lot better at that point. But to your point, the drought, it's winter time right now, so the course conditions, there's no changing them. There hasn't been any changing them per se in the last 4 or 5 months without really affecting other aspects of the course. You really need to get your ground temperatures up before you can start growing grass, and so that's kind of at this point what we're waiting on to be able to improve the golf course.
Okay. Does that answer that, Commissioner Elliott?
Yeah, you know,
Best as possible.
think about my yard, what it looks like.
Right.
Drought. So, you know, it's terrible too, but, you know, it's been unusually dry. And of course, all the construction we've done with the new sprinkler system and watering system and everything pumping in, you know, that's, I guess, is just now pretty well in use, I guess.
I was going to say, we're set up. We haven't had a chance to be able to use the resources that the city has spent the money on in its fullest at this point. And I totally, I think you're going to see vast improvements across the golf course, from tee to green. You're going to be able to see those in the upcoming months and understand Mr. Anderson's concerns. That's our concerns with districts coming up. And districts, I believe, are May 2nd. And it's tough because Bermuda, as you guys know around here, really doesn't even kick in come May 2nd. And my fairways are Bermuda. And so we're going to try to speed up the process as much as possible. Obviously, the warmer it gets, the warmer the ground temperature gets, and the more that Bermuda is going to kick in. We're obviously going to have our tee boxes and our greens in the best condition that we can get them in. Hopefully, that Bermuda starts to come in at that point before districts. But we're aware of the tournaments, and we'd like, that tournament along with the rest of the tournaments to be the best around and get our name out there. They mentioned courses around New Mexico, Texas. People travel to them. I mean, that's our goal as well. People, you know, they find tournaments, tournaments they love and golf courses they love, and they want to travel to them and play in them. And we want that as well for our community and for the golf course.
Thank you, Mr. Rocker.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh.
Could I want, maybe I didn't hear correctly, but Did you earlier say that you haven't been able to use as much water as you will be able to in the future?
Correct.
Because of all right.
Because, I mean, and not just, I mean, the effluent, we have so much more storage. The lake that was redone, we had 2 pump stations, one on the front, one on the back. I could walk across them and my head would never go underneath the water. That's how shallow they were. They were full of sludge and, we had a small capacity of water to be able to run. If I watered fully, and we're talking tee boxes, fairways, rough, and green, I could deplete my lakes in less than 2 days. And that's what we were working with the last few years. And correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, but the new lake is close to 8 million gallons. If I water wall to wall for the time that I need to put out, I can put out 400,000 to 500,000 gallons a day. We don't need to do that every single day, but the thing that's coming up is I don't have to pick and choose. I don't have to water fairways and then wait 4 or 5 days because that water, it needs more. Especially Bermuda. If you know about Bermuda, it needs a lot of water and then let it sit for a few days. But if we don't have a lot of water to put on them, which has been our issue in the past, so the effluent water mixed with the sprinkler system, which has the proper coverage, we're really set up to look a lot better this year.
And is the effluent in full force now?
Not yet. My understanding is we're talking the end of the month, so I mean we're close.
Soon.
Barring any equipment malfunctions or anything that K-BART does, I think we're within a few weeks of getting the effluent. My lake's full at this point as well, so we're ready to go.
Thanks.
Keaton, I know we had some vandalism out there at one time on the greens. Have those come back, or what's the process?
They
on those?
have. We've got those greens back. I don't want to say the beginning of spring of last year, but I would say by June we had all of them resodded and reseeded, and you can't tell where it was vandalized.
Have we had any problems since?
The only problems we've had is people stealing flags and cart signs, and but no vandalism to the greens themselves. No, none.
Mayor, I have one question.
Yeah, Commissioner
Mr.
Paul.
Audit, who makes the decisions for turf care? Is it the agronomist with Touchstone? Is it you? Who makes the ultimate decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's all of us. We weigh in highly on our agronomist. That's what he does. He knows the area, he knows the grasses, he knows the products to put on them. All of us do. My superintendent would help make that decision, and we all do it together. There's not one person out there making a decision for the overall. And when it comes down to it, we're all making sure we're on the same page. If there's a change in something, we circle back to the agronomist, check, hey, what do you think of this? Because grass is fluid. I can put a plan right in front of you and say, we're going to do this on this date, and here's how we're going to do this, but it's going to change. Things are going to come up. We're going to get more moisture. We're going to get less moisture. And so it has to be a fluid process. And so, it's one of those things that can change on a weekly basis, but it's done all together. It's not just one person's decision.
Very well. Thanks,
right.
Mr. Alcutt.
Thank you.
Mr. Kenyon. We would love to hear from you, sir, if we could have your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, and Commissioners, I'm Bill Kenyon. I've been a member of the golf course since it began in 1964. And I live on the 9th green, 9th tee box, and we've been there 41 years. And it's true, the golf course is not good right now. The greens mainly have not healed from the top dressing the latter part of September. That same thing happened last year. I don't know the reason for sure, whether it's lack of water or too late in the fall or something, but the greens are not good, probably as bad as I've ever seen them. To me, it would be not a good move to make any kind of rash moves at this time. Because we got some great affluent water coming here pretty quick, and the growing season will be here pretty soon. If you do want to think about doing something serious, I would say this would be a terrible time to do it right now, because anybody coming in, the growing season isn't starting, we hadn't had the water. So that would be my thought, and so. Thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you.
Love the course. Been there forever.
Thank you, Mr. Kenyon. Appreciate that. You know, Commissioners, we're talking about or we're hearing from the public tonight on a valuable asset to the city, and we have to take care of it, just like we have to take care of everything else that the city owns and operates and provides service to the community with. And so, you know, I want to thank Mr. Kenyon, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Lincoln, Ms. Allman, Ms. Elliott, who talked to us about the animal shelter, Mr. Drake, and Mr. Gutierrez for you know, shining light on things for us, and it's necessary. Community involvement, citizen involvement, and input is necessary, and so we're grateful for this, you know, for this feedback, for this communication, because it helps us a lot, and so I hope that you know that we are listening. We do want to listen, and we value and appreciate you coming in here. I mean, nothing grieves my heart more in the 2 years I've been mayor is looking out here and not seeing anyone. I love seeing citizens, even if it is constructive criticism. I love seeing citizens come and talk to this group. So thank you for your input. And I don't mean to wrap up this part of the agenda. We can hear more. If there's someone else that would like to speak, I would love to let you. Yes, Mr. Gutierrez.
One.
The only thing I say about them bear traps or the ropes, put them up after play, take them down before play. Very simple solution.
Great, thanks for the input. Thank you. Anyone else have something to share? Yes. Is that Mr. Bonner? Mr. Don Bonner.
I live at 133 the Sanson, and I just be very brief. You can do better, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Anything at all? Yes, Mr. DeBell.
Bud DeBell from 1500 Fairway Terrace. And the golf course has been a contentious conversation for about 3 years, and I think most everybody here I've had a conversation with about this at least once. And Keaton. And I want you to all understand, this isn't nothing personal. You know, it's not personal against Keaton or Touchstone or anybody else. You know, we all want the same thing to happen here. We want the golf course to be good. We want everybody to be able to go out there and have a good time, enjoy themselves. There's a lot of contention out there, a lot of caustic attitudes, lots of problems with lots of things. And I just think you guys need to take an opportunity to sit down and take a good look at where you're at, what you're investing in. You know, you spend a lot of money out there, which everybody knows the city has done their part. I know Keaton got off to a bad start, and I know it's been tough out there. Hopefully he can get it better. I don't care who runs the golf course. All they need to do is just do a good job of doing it, you know. But there's lots of problems out there, and not just the golf course. So you guys, if you would, just please do us a favor and sit down and take a good look at it. That's it for everybody's sake, including theirs and ours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeBell. Anyone else like to share with the commission about the golf course or anything else for that matter?
Mayor,
Sir.
I kind of like to see us maybe set up a time that, you know, when we first took over the course, all the commissioners went out and actually took a tour of the course to see what kind of condition it was in. I think we'd benefit by maybe doing that again and letting the commission go out and actually tour the golf course and see for themselves what's, you know, how it is.
Excellent idea, and I appreciate you bringing it up, Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. I'm happy to coordinate with you all. We can't go out there and create a quorum, but I'm happy to coordinate, and we can go out there and each have a look at the place. We can go out in pairs or whatever you like if everyone is in agreement. And I'll do that. Good suggestion. Thank you. Last call for communications. Again, thank you to each of you who've shared with us this evening. We're going to move on in the agenda to the consent agenda. Commissioners, as you know, the consent agenda is placed on the agenda
Mayor,
Ma'am.
I know that Kathy Elliott left, but I do agree with her. I think we do need to discuss that. And Justin did tell me today that this is something that the city has been working on. So hopefully, if we do rebuild our staff out there, we can maybe open up Saturdays or something.
Yeah, and thank Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. Commissioner House, that is definitely something that we've been trying to get to. As I mentioned to you earlier today, with our staffing levels, it's kind of ebbed and flowed, but that is our goal, and we recognized that to try and get as many animals adopted as possible, making it open when people are available, not at work, needs to happen. So that is definitely one of our goals, and are working towards that.
Thank you for bringing that up.
I've got one question, Mayor. Would it not be possible to go ahead and do a Tuesday through Saturday next week? I mean, what's holding that up?
Well, we have, I want to say, 2 animal control officers and office administrator. And so trying to stay fully staffed the entire time in which the officers are on duty. And I'm going to let Captain Romero bail me out on this.
Be careful where I put the bucket. Good evening again. No, not next week. This is, Miss Elliott's statements is following information that was relayed through another party, so it's seemingly weird, like a talking point. I appreciate that people are having a hard time getting off work to come in. Currently, we've got 1 officer that is finishing up his training this week, but next week it's more about seeing how he does wholly on his own. We are still, after that 1 officer, down employees. We've been talking about it for
5 years.
actually more in recent.
Okay.
Let's play with the last 3 months.
Okay.
But like everybody else is seeing, like the city itself is seeing as a whole, manpower has always been an issue. As far as closing the shelter on a Monday, I don't see that happening. And that is just from my perspective. Over the last 25 years being here, my father was the animal control officer, so I remember moving dogs into that building in 1975. So it's kind of something that's been affecting me since I can remember. A movement of certain hours, because I can't just leave 1 officer there. I have to have at least 2 personnel. We'll figure something out, and it won't be long with this additional officer clearing up finally after next week.
So
It gives us a
ultimately,
little,
you're looking for a 6-day work week there. Is that
No.
what I'm hearing?
probably a partial day on a Saturday is what I'm looking at. We
Okay.
attempted that about 5 years ago and only had minimal activity,
I see.
which means by 12 o'clock, nobody was coming.
Yeah.
The other part is maybe just pushing hours back. So I split my forces during the work week into a 6:30 timeframe.
Okay.
But it's all numbers and pushing and playing with hours and coordinate it with the chief's office and, of course, city management.
Okay.
I have one quick question.
Absolutely.
Do we allow these nonprofit animal groups to come in, take animals from the shelter, and attempt to adopt them out on their own? Is that allowed?
Most of that is what these rescue groups are about. Most of these animals are moving into either the Utah area, the Colorado area. I have no idea how Colorado runs out of animals, but I'm really happy for it. Well, they're at least going somewhere. I'm hoping they're not being warehoused, but they're going somewhere.
So in the short term, can these groups come in from 10 to 4,
They've been doing this common.
pick up 10 animals, and then adopt them out themselves on Saturday morning?
They do.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
But-
it's not like the animals are trapped inside and can't go anywhere?
They have the ability to come and recall.
Okay.
We have certain groups that actually have people that come in and look. They'll tag animals, not like putting a little tag on them, but
But it doesn't have to be the individual adoptor of that specific pet that can?
not all,
Okay.
not at all.
So that's, to me, that's a good option for the short term.
Yeah, and Mayor, we have several different rescue groups. I'm signing agreements with rescue organizations because it may be this breed or that breed, and that's what that particular rescue group wants to rescue. And so we have stacks and stacks of rescue agreements where those organizations come in and adopt an animal and they take them out to.
But can they bring them, I guess my question is,
Do they bring them back?
can they? Like, if they don't get adopted, can they bring them back on Monday?
No.
So once they take them out, they're
It's their
theirs?
issue.
Okay.
And as a personal note, my wife has helped rescue groups in the past, and animals have been abandoned with us after a certain point. And we're not sending it off anywhere after a certain point, because after about 2 or 3 months, whether you care for the dog because it doesn't love you as much as you might like it, it is now part of that family. It's part of that group. It's part of, it may not like me worth a darn, but it likes the other dogs just fine. And I think that's where we tend to have those secondary housing units that are contracted by these rescue groups that are contacted and held to. And there's only so many that you are allowed to hold on to if you live in the city. And kennel licenses alone aren't going to be enough to do it. It would just be really nice if people of their own accord, without the city forcing them forward, would control that population. It's a dream I had since I was 10. And we'll see if it can happen one day, because you can't stop. Any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
How's that bucket?
I like the way it tilted.
Commissioners, we kind of slid back into communications, so since we're still in communications, is there anything else that someone would like to share with this commission or commissioners, anything that you have while we're still in communications? Very well. With your permission, we will move on to the consent agenda. As you know, this item is placed on the agenda so that the commission, by unanimous consent, can designate routine agenda items that they wish to approve or acknowledge with one motion. If any proposal does not meet with the approval of all commission members, or if a citizen so requests, that item will be heard when reached under the regular agenda. If you remember, before approval of tonight's agenda, we removed item 8, so you have 11 items there now. The first is the motion to place, and the 11th is the motion to approve or acknowledge. I'll read 2 through 10. Item 2 is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3110-2022 DFA budget changes. Item 3, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3112-2022 granting approval of a replat of Collindale Village, Collindade Village Unit 1, a tract of land within the southwest quarter of Section 33, Township 3 North, Range 36 East. Item 4, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3113-2022, granting approval of a preliminary plat of the Norris Street Business Park, a tract of land within the northwest quarter of Section 16, Township 2 North, Range 36 East, City of Clovis, Curry County, New Mexico. Item 5, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3114-2022, granting approval of a replat of the North Plains Mall subdivision, a tract of land within the northwest quarter of southwest quarter of Section 5, Township 2 North, Range 36 East, Clovis, New Mexico. Item 6, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3115-2022, granting approval of a replat of Quail Run Addition Unit 1. Replat includes lots 6 through 12 and lot 13 of the replat of lot 2 and 3 of Quail Run Addition Unit 1, City of Clovis, Curry County, New Mexico. Item 7. Request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3116-2022, granting approval of a replat of Tract A, Block 13, Unit 2 of the Wicker Addition, City of Clovis, Curry County, New Mexico. Item 8, request for approval to apply for and accept, if awarded, the FY 2023 Recycling and Illegal Dumping Raid Grant in the amount of $30,901.92 to rent and operate a tire shredder at the Clovis Regional Landfill. Item 9, request for approval to apply for and accept the FY 22 Outdoor Recreational Trails Plus grant in the amount of $99,999 to create a master plan for Ned Houck Park and construct ADA accessible fishing area for adaptive outdoor recreation. And the last item is request for approval to enter into professional services agreement for collective bargaining and legal services with Holcomb Law Office. That is your consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to place the indicated items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion for placing the items on the consent agenda came from Commissioner Garza, second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Commissioners, please vote. And the vote is unanimous. The motion is carried. The items have been placed on the consent agenda. I would now entertain a motion to approve or acknowledge all items.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Casal, second from Commissioner Paula. Commissioners, please vote. And by a vote of 8-0, the motion is carried. Thank you. We are on to introduction and adoption of resolutions and ordinances. A couple of items there this evening. The first is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3109-2022, declaring the eligibility and intent of the City of Clovis to submit an application to the New Mexico Department of Transportation Municipal Arterial Program for the reconstruction of Marvin Haas Boulevard and approving matching funds if awarded. Ms. Knight.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. Staff requested with the Public Works Committee to select a project for the Municipal Arterial Program, MAP for short. But given the timeline of the grant, we had to move forward with our application in consultation with Mr. Clint Bunch, our Public Works Director, and Mr. Howalt. They identified Marvin Haas Boulevard from Prince Street to Sycamore as an eligible project that would fulfill the requirements of the grant program, and we submitted that application last week before the March 15th deadline. The project includes a mill and fill of Marvin Haas Boulevard with 3-inch asphalt. The total project cost is $671,585, which includes our 25% match of $167,896.25, which is required by the program. A resolution is also required by the program, and upon your approval, I will follow up with the program coordinator and submit that to accompany our application. And that's all I have, and I'm open for any questions that you might have for myself or Mr. Bunch, because he knows way more about roads than I do.
Understood. Well, perhaps you or perhaps Mr. Bunch. Obviously, we have a lot of road projects that need completing within our city, but evidently this one met certain criteria for this particular type of grant. Can you kind of explain how Marvin Haas was chosen?
Well, thank you, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. Marvin Haas has been on our radar at Public Works for quite some time now. We've had to do a lot of maintenance projects on that section of roadway. It is a very old roadway. It's probably 30 years plus old. We've done a lot of patching, a lot of chip seal in the last couple of years just to hold it together. It's alligated really bad. We were even doing one 2 years ago, and a lot of the public were saying, well, what are you just doing a chip seal on it? It's too far gone. And we're like, well, we're trying to hold it together the best we can. As Ms. Knight said, this grant, it kind of sneaks up on you. The reason we're doing it this way is because when you're working with the state, you never know when some of these grants are due, and you get short-term notice. So we had to do it this way, as we come up with this area, because it is a minor arterial roadway, and there is a great need for it, and it does match all the criteria needed for the grant.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Mr. Bunch. Commissioners, any questions?
I move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Paula. Second came from Commissioner Rowley. Unless there's further debate, Commissioners, what is before you is the approval of resolution number 3109-2022. Commissioners, please vote. And the vote is unanimous. The motion is carried. Thank you, Ms. Knight. Thanks, Mr. Bunch.
Thank you.
And Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, the next item on the agenda, the audit, Mr. Farley Vernier with Hinkles and Ladders had another commitment that he had to get to. We didn't realize we were going to have such a fun early meeting, and so he wasn't able to be here this evening, and he's the one that actually has to provide the report itself.
Understood. So I would entertain a motion to postpone. Is the next meeting long enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I make a motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion to postpone came from Commissioner Garza. Second came from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Commissioners, please vote. And the vote is 8-0, so we will postpone the request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3111-2022. Thank you. Nothing under unfinished business. We will move on to new business. And first, under new business, we will deal with the item that was number 8 in consent, and it is request for approval. Nice work, Ms. Knight. That was smooth. Commissioners, we are looking at request for approval of lodger's tax quarterly disbursements for March 2022. And Commissioner Casals, you asked that we pull that out and actually discuss that one.
Right.
Would you like to talk about that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The only concern that I had was the one for the Clovis Children in Action Entrepreneur and Business Fair. I know that there was quite a few, probably over, 32 booths last year, and that was during COVID. This year, she's anticipating a lot more, maybe 200 to 400 participants. And I feel like, we had a call from Roswell. There's some kids that want to come and participate in this. And she's putting it out to Grady, Farwell, Texaco, Muleshoe, Canyon, Portales. And I feel like the kids have been locked up long enough with COVID. And I think they're going to, and in my opinion, I feel like it's going to be twice as big as they had last year. The kids really, really enjoyed it. I don't know if any of you went out there, but I feel like she could use a little bit more money than what was allocated to her. And I would like to change that amount.
Can you tell us what the additional money would be for?
Well, I'm sure it would be what Ms. Pellegrino put down. The kids will sell products, but I really don't know what it would be used for, but I know she said that what she was allocated would not be enough to cover it. What is paid for, I don't know.
And Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, Commissioner Burns, as part of their application process, they have to submit to us a itemized list, how the funds are going. There's only so much that they can do with those funds and items that are eligible. And so they could be Facebook advertising, it could be radio advertising, it could be sign advertising. And so while I don't have the application in front of me, I'm sure that Ms. Pellegrino Spears is typically pretty good about making sure she is submitting for eligible items. And so her original request was for $8,850. I would assume that those added up to all eligible items. And Mr. Lawson, I know that you were at the, and Mr. Martin is here.
How about that? We have the chairman from Lodgers Tax, Thomas Martin, here with us this evening. Chairman Martin, thank you for being here. I wonder if maybe you would share with us maybe what, obviously your board decided to do what you decided to do. I'd love to maybe hear why that is.
Sure, Mayor, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. So apologies for being late, and apologies for the mustache. Vicky already pointed it out, and it's
Very,
it's
very
it's gone-
offensive.
It's gone this
It's-
week. So we're talking about Mrs. Pellegrino
Yes.
Spears
The
application.
children's entrepreneur fair.
So initially, so the first question the board asks is, does it bring in, does it bring in tourism? And her application was the second application. The first one, there was thought that, yes, it does, it should bring in tourism from outside of Clovis, and then we proceed with, is it good for the community? Do they give back? Is it create room nights, et cetera? In the second application, there wasn't just, it was honestly, we considered not getting past that first question. Does it bring in tourists? Because there wasn't any justification on the paperwork. And when I think Mr. Holwald mentioned all the initial amount she requested. In that request, on our marketing dollars, I think were canopies that did not qualify. So we removed that and then went from there. Lisa stayed around for the discussion. And so while we were discussing, we asked her more pointed questions as, does this bring in tourism? She said they did have a few of the parents and kids who came from neighboring towns. But we didn't do a full fund, or I don't know what the total amount ended up being.
4,500.
4,500, but there, when we went through the questions, it's not bringing in any room nights. It's probably minimal. She's going to do a better job of seeing how many came from out of town to be a part of it, or and I know we can do that easily with the booths that get rented, or not rented, but filled. It's harder to do with people coming in and seeing it, but with lodgers tax dollars being a lot tighter, we just didn't feel like we could justify. One, the initial amount wasn't justifiable because it wasn't all could be covered by lodgers tax, and then within the remaining amount, we felt like $4,500 to market an event that was more local than not was a pretty good justification of those dollars.
I mean, this is for the children.
It can be
Parents
a
are going to
great-
come, grandparents are going to come.
So your argument then, Commissioner, is that it would create room nights?
I think
because-
this is tourism. I mean, people are going to come, they're going to eat at your restaurants, they're going to buy stuff. If a child didn't bring enough to sell, they're going to go buy stuff at Hobby Lobby. I know that we sponsor a lot that doesn't qualify lodgers tax, in my opinion, and I don't see how this would not qualify for tourism.
Well, I think if I may, Chairman Martin, I can appreciate the methodology, the logic that you followed and that your board followed in order to arrive at that. And you said something interesting in there. You said that Ms. Pellegrino Spear would do more or look for ways to actually capture information on who's coming and setting up booth space, and maybe even look for how to figure out if the attendees are coming in from out of town. And if they are, then you have some data with which to make that case. But largely, and Commissioner Casals, I'm with you. I love an event for kids, but largely this is an event for local kids.
Not
Great
necessary.
great event, and worthy of support. However, lodgers tax is to support tourism, encourage tourism, and create room nights. So that, I mean, and we gotta respect, or I like to look at what lodgers tax had to say on that, and they obviously followed a great train of thought. So that's my thought.
I think the other discussion during the Lodgers Tax Board meeting was the time frame of the event. It's from 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, which typically that time frame doesn't generate lodging.
It's 11 to 3.
11 to 3.
11 to 3 and not an overnight, not a 2-day event.
Right.
So,
If
and again, lodgers tax,
Go ahead,
Commissioner Garza.
Go ahead, Mr.
And
Chairman.
and overnight stays is not the number one, it doesn't have to generate that, but it does have to, again, number one question that we start or we don't start is, does it bring in tourism? And so, Commissioner Garza also.
Commissioner Garza, you said on lodger's tax, please tell us what you think.
Well, thank you. I was going to mention the fact that it's just a one-day event, and for $4,500, I mean, we give the gun show event less than that for a 3-day event, which brings a lot of lodging, and that's part of the reason we have this year to generate room nights. I mean, the board is being generous with $4,500, and for the time frame, and with that background to support people staying in Clovis, it's a little difficult. And I understand your point. It's for
Evidently
kids.
not.
It's for kids. But again, we have to meet the criteria that is set by the state statute. How you use the funds, advertising. How much can you advertise for just one event that is going to happen for 3 hours? It's a tough one. Most of the events that, most of the people that came to ask for funding, you're talking about 2-3 day events. So it's a big difference. And I think I respect the board. I sit on it, but I always let them decide. I'm just there to guide them if they have any questions as to what is proper and what is not. And to me, this is just right, in my opinion. Thank you.
Further debate.
I move for approval as is.
Okay, motion to approve from Commissioner Rowley.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Elliott. Is there further debate? Hearing and seeing none, commissioners, please vote.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you,
Mayor
Mr.
Pro Tem.
Chairman.
Commissioners,
Appreciate
thank
you. And the motion is carried by a vote of 6 in favor and 2 opposed. Thank you. We have the next item under new business, which is request for approval of budget change for summer youth program not to exceed $38,760. And to advise regarding this item, we have Ms. Knight, who could have just left her things at the podium, I think, right?
I tried to come back early.
Kidding.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. The City of Clovis received a $20,000 grant from the State of New Mexico's Outdoor Equity Fund to create a summer youth program this summer. It'll begin in June. We're very excited. The program's going to be held at the Youth Recreation Building in Hillcrest Park. And the City of Clovis provided an in-kind match of $20,000 to assist with the program. It had initially, we intended to recruit summer interns that would volunteer their time to help with the program, but due to hiring challenges, it's necessary to compensate the part-time seasonal program workers. There will be 10 part-time seasonal program workers working as interns, probably a mix of both high school and college students. And we are requesting an amount not to exceed $38,760 as a budget transfer to help fund these interns for the program. And I'm open to any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you for that. The city received a $20,000 grant, and the city has now said they are going to do an in-kind match of $20,000. What is it? What makes up the in-kind match? Is it the facilities, some city employees working at the event, that kind of thing? Help me with
Correct.
that. Okay.
The program required a one-to-one match, so if we applied for $20,000, we also had to provide $20,000. The majority of that is coming from the use of the Youth Recreation Building, which will be blocked off for 3 months, both in preparation for the program and to house the kids. And then also from the zoo, free admission to the splash park is what makes up most of our in-kind match.
Great. How many, what's the maximum number of kids that may that you could handle with the plans as they are?
We put in the grant application that we would have 25 children, sort of as a pilot program. We are really excited about this, but also don't know how it's going to go. And so kind of having 25 kids at the first year as a pilot, and then in the future we can figure out how to accommodate more children.
Understood.
Yes.
More children is what I would love to see, because
Yes.
this sounds, I mean, a summer youth program at our beautiful Hillcrest Park, and using our facilities, being able to go to our zoo, our splash pad, all those kinds of things. I want to see more kids get to be involved in this. So my hesitation in asking this commission to approve 38,000 is that enough? And do you think that we could actually, you know, quadruple that number of kids that could be involved in this with the number of workers that we have planned?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, since you're looking directly at me. You know, we don't know. We don't know what the program is going to look like. It's obviously the first year that we've done something like this as the city of Clovis, and so yes, we're very excited about it. Yes, we would want to have lots of kids out there, but honestly, we don't know. We don't know if, you know, we talk about trying to get summer hire help, trying to get college students hired. I hope that happens. And so we're just not sure what to expect yet. Actually, Mr. Curry, on his first day, he sat down and said, all right, here's our summer youth program. And I'm looking forward to his expertise, because he's like, you're going to need wristbands, you're going to need this. And so it's like, that's probably true. And so as we continue to grow our rec program, and that's why we moved that direction with having a dedicated rec administrator that's going to be over that, is across all of our youth programs. I look forward to what the future looks like, but at this very moment, I wish I could say, yeah, if you gave us another $40,000, we're going to be able to double the number of kids that we have out there. I simply don't know.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yeah, Commissioner Paula.
So, you know, I like numbers, and I guess taking the $38,000, dividing that by 25 kids, we're investing $1,550 per child, cash from the city. And then if we take $20,000 of in-kind donations, that's $800 a kid. So we've got $2,350 per child that it's going to cost for this summer program. And I've been a huge proponent of this program, but that seems crazy, crazy expensive.
I'd say Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, and Commissioner Paula, it's payroll.
Oh, no, I understand, but for $2,350, we can do a lot of things for these children.
And so I think we're trying to have one instructor per 5 kids, or being able to break them out in small groups. And so that's why we have the number of instructors that we have. When we looked at it, the budget from supplies and materials is not very high. It's all payroll. And I think we have it $12 an hour, so basically minimum wage. Granted, it's not in effect yet at 12, but minimum wage for those employees. And then for our coordinator, we had a little bit higher. I think $15 an hour is what we had in there.
No, I'm not doubting the payroll, and I understand exactly how expensive that is, but I guess I just can't justify $2,300 per child for a summer program. That's very expensive to ask the citizens to pay for.
I hear what you're saying, Commissioner Paula, and you know, and what I want to, of course, we see our Parks Director getting up. He's gonna make all of this make sense for us. But where I was going with this is, you know, I know that our city folks have done a lot of estimating, a lot of guessing about how much resource, how much manpower it's going to take to do this. So understanding maybe they've shot high, they're asking for up to. You know, what I would encourage is that, you know, let's double or triple the number of kids, but still come in at less. I mean, to your point, I don't know why we would need that much, but double or triple the number of kids and still come in a lot less than what you're even asking for. Or how precise is your ask? I mean, Mr. Hooper.
Mayor, Commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem,
Appreciate the opportunity again. I think part of what's getting is on the matching funds of the 20. I think we did a calculation basically is Roy Walker rents out for $60 an hour. We're now using this many hours to run this program. Therefore, part of our match in kind had to do with that money. So it wasn't that we were coming up with $20,000.
Well, I guess I don't have a problem with the in-kind portion of it.
Right.
To me, even if you just go back to what's gonna come out of the city's budget, you know, cash-wise is almost $1,600 per kid. That's kind of the part that makes me go, oh, wow, that's a lot of money.
Agreed. and that's where we understand that obviously, and with the salaries nowadays and the numbers that are going on. We originally, like Kelsey was saying, we were talking about doing volunteer interns. A lot of college kids that need these for hours. But then the reliability of it, it's hard to set up a program and then count on volunteers. You have to assure yourself that you can have them there because you can't get halfway into it and shut down for 3 days of the week because people can't show up, things along those lines. So part of that is hopefully guaranteeing the staffing. Today's world, that's tough to
One more question, just a thought. Do the kids that are enrolling in this have any, do they have to pay an entry fee? Do they have any skin in the game to be there?
Yes, there is a $30 per week per child.
Okay.
Based on the demographics, the $10 registration fee, there's a certain percentage that have to meet income requirements. So it is geared towards a low income.
So they can have that $30 waived? Is that what you're saying?
As part of the Outdoor Equity Fund, it's to create equitable access to outdoor recreation. And so at least 40% of the children that we recruit for the program have to be from a low to moderate income family. So we really wanted to keep the costs low with the program. So we had said $30 per week for the 8 weeks of the program, plus a one-time $10 registration fee. And so it would total $250 per child.
So every
for the
child
summer.
has to pay at least $30?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Ms. Knight, it's 8-week program, 5 days a week. How many hours a day?
We are still finalizing that, but we are saying from around 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. to accommodate parent drop-off schedules headed to work.
So around 11 hours a day.
Yes, sir.
I think that's where the money goes.
Adds up pretty quick. And I think this is this is a new thing that the city's trying, and I want to encourage this. I mean, this is a great thing. And so,
But this is a pilot
commissioners, I'd
program.
like to ask you to consider approving this, and then I hope that we can have more kids than 25 participate.
I'm up for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Garza, second came from Commissioner Casals. What is before you is approval of this budget change for the summer youth program, not to exceed $38,760. Commissioners, please vote. The motion is carried. We have 6 votes in favor, 1 opposed, and 1 no vote. The motion is carried. Thank you, Ms. Knight. Thank you, Mr. Hooper.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Next is request for approval of New Mexico opioid allocation agreement. Our city attorney, Mr. Jared Morris.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. So brief background, there are hundreds of lawsuits right now in the United States against large prescription drug manufacturers. The essential allegations are that they have been habitually overproducing, overprescribing, and overdistributing opioid medications, while at the same time either hiding or minimizing their effects and the negative impacts. One such lawsuit involves the city of Clovis. We were actually sort of forced into it by the AG's office. We didn't voluntarily opt in. But in any event, that lawsuit has recently settled for $197 million. And so the allocation agreement is just the disbursement as between the 54 cities and counties and the state of New Mexico. So the figure again is the 197 million. The proposed distribution according to the allocation agreement is 55% to the state of New Mexico and then 45% to the political subdivisions. That would leave Clovis and Curry counties' shared percentage at just over 1.405%, which translates to just over $2.7 million to start paying out next year and then for the next 15 years. So for your approval would be the proposed allocation, the inclusion of our 1.40%. Now again, that's shared with Curry County. Most other cities and counties have approved this already. I think there's about 10 outstanding that it still needs to go to their respective councils or commissions, Clovis being one of them. But I do expect that all our cities and counties will approve this allocation agreement. The allocation agreement also contains proposed and acceptable uses of the funds that are described in there, and then it encourages entities that are sharing funds, like the city of Clovis and Curry County, to cooperate and to use those funds together. In the event that we can't reach an agreement with the county, then we would receive approximately 1/3 of those funds, and they would receive 2/3 of those funds. And the reason for that is the metrics that the Attorney General's office uses. They have criterion like the number of pills produced and shipped to the county or city, the expense by the county or city to combat the opioid addiction, number of overdose deaths, so those sort of metrics. Those are also, by the way, the same metrics that were used to identify what Clovis and the county's share would be as between the other 54 plaintiffs. So with that explanation, Mayor and Commissioners, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Appreciate that. Commissioners, are there questions? Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Burns.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Paula. Commissioners, please vote. We have 6 votes in favor, 2 no votes, or none opposed. 2 commissioners didn't vote. We have 6 commissioners voting in favor of this. The motion is carried. Next, we have reports of boards, officers, and committees, and we have our monthly investment report this evening from our city's finance director, Ms. Leanne Melanson. I'll give you the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. The monthly report for February, we started with $56.3 million, ending cash of $55.8 million. Quick overview of cash balances: General Fund 1, $6 million. The transfer to the capital projects for the Airport Leader project is the majority of that decrease, not a significant decrease in general fund. Fund 2, Solid Waste, $2.8 million. Fund 6, Environmental Tax, $8.5 million. Our Wastewater Fund 10, $2.9 million. Capital Outlay 0.25%, $2 million. Our Water 0.25%, $5.6 million. Special Streets Fund 75, $1.3 million. Our Capital Projects Fund 87, $2.4 million. And our American Rescue Plan Fund 94 at $4.7 million. We have a little over $30 million in our local banks and $25.3 million in the state investment pool. Our local interest for cash in banks is $2,500, 9-month year-to-date of $21,000. State pool, $1,300 with a 9-month year-to-date of, 8-month year-to-date, $10,000. And the state pool was up at 0.0816% this month compared to 0.0694 last month. Our gross receipts came in today. We are up 10% over last year and 8% over 2 years ago. We are, in our industry report, we have a total of 1,750 additional payers, which is down from last month by about 2,200. And our total retail for this month was 811, which is the majority of the increase and the difference in our reports. And I will answer any questions, but I will also give an update. We did receive, the Secretary of State has posted, I'm hoping it's a typographical error. The recount, one place says April 23rd, the other place says March 23rd. We are still waiting on the proclamation and the order, but we are hoping that that will be the date for the 5 municipalities that are impacted by the automatic recount.
Thank you for that. Obviously, the recount of the two-year district,
Yes.
one seat, is something that we would all like to find out the answer to. So, thanks for that. You said that there was a decrease in the number of GRT reporters?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, last month would have been for December, so that would have been for Christmas.
Okay.
And then I also found it interesting that the food was about 8 million in food sales for December, and we were about 6 million. So I guess everybody's New Year's resolutions went in, and all the food decreased. So we also saw a significant decrease in the food for January.
Interesting observations.
Little tidbits of
yeah.
information.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that GRT is up. It is so
Yes.
important that we grow our tax base and grow our local economy so that this city can continue providing services and provide even more in the future. So thanks for that. Any questions for Ms. Melanson? None? Thank you. Appreciate that. And thanks for the update on the recount as well. Association of Defense Communities Summit took place in Washington, D.C., beginning of last week, the 7th through the 9th. As we mentioned earlier in this meeting, believe it or not, it was the same meeting earlier this evening. We recognized Commissioner Burns for the award that he was given out in D.C. Just wanted to update you briefly on what the trip entailed. I traveled, so did your city manager, Justin Howalt, and then, as I mentioned before, we had Commissioner Burns, and so, I kept thinking, or I kept catching myself thinking that he was simply there as Commissioner Burns and in that capacity, but again, he was there representing Committee of 50 as well as our city. The Association of Defense Communities Summit is, it's so important that we attend that, and it's important, I feel a responsibility to attend that. It's so important that we understand how to best support and maintain resiliency for Cannon Air Force Base. We want to be a great community. So it's important that we go and do those things. The motto of ADC is one community, one mission, and you hear that over and over again throughout the conference, and I like that because I think we all think of Cannon Air Force Base and Clovis in the same. We're the same community, and so one community, one mission. Again, it was an honor to be there to see Commissioner Burns receive his Defense Community Champion Award. The conference sessions were, you had main sessions in a larger ballroom, and then you had breakout sessions like you would typically see at this kind of thing. Those took place Monday morning through Wednesday at noon, and we heard a wide variety of sessions and learned quite a lot. A couple of things that I took away: Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation Town Hall gave us information about possible grant opportunities that could assist Cannon with its resiliency again. Air Force Department of Defense Quality of Life Scorecards. Each year, the Air Force publishes a state of military families and ranks military communities in key areas of quality of life for their airmen, namely public education opportunities and then also spousal occupational license portability. So when folks come to Cannon, oftentimes their spouse may be some sort of professional, and they need New Mexico to recognize their credentials from the other state. And again, the effort in 2019 that Commissioner Burns was a large part of, did a lot to help us with that. The session provided more info on how that report is produced, and perhaps gives us some insight how to work to continue to score better and better on that, and have the Air Force view Clovis as a place that's providing top quality of life to their airmen. Also, while we were there, Mr. Howalt and I were able to get meetings, thanks to our consultant, John Ryan, organizing the meetings. We were able to get meetings with each of our federal delegation. Mr. Howalt and I, on Tuesday afternoon, met with Senator Lujan. We met with Senator Heinrich's office staff, and we also met with Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez and her staff, and all three were good meetings. Topics of discussion ranged, as you can imagine. It's amazing how aware these federal delegates are of our needs and our situation, and they ask us great questions about projects that we have need of support for. But the two main things that Mr. Howalt and I took into those meetings was, one, I wanted to thank them for the support of the Ute Pipeline project and update them on that, and obviously ask for continued support. The other thing that we talked to each of them about was an FAA grant that is available for airport terminal construction, and the city of Clovis is putting in a grant for that. So we were making them aware of that, and then we were successful in getting support from each of them in the form of a letter of support for that grant application. And then, as I say, the discussion ranged, but another thing that I thought was great, and I thought Mr. Howalt and I were able to pick up on some key insights having to do with congressionally directed spending, or earmarks. Each of the delegate staff asked us a lot of questions and encouraged us to have a conversation with them about projects that we may want to submit for earmarks in the coming budget cycles. So I think that that's great that we were there and perhaps get an inside track on some of those things. Mr. Howalt, would you add anything to that?
No, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, I would say that, as the Mayor mentioned, resiliency. And so that was definitely an overarching theme in all of the sessions that we attended. And so as we think about how we could potentially partner with Cannon Air Force Base to meet those resiliency goals that they may have. So I know in the past we've talked about, when we had purchased the property to the west of Cannon Air Force Base, and potentially maybe able to work with them to help them from a energy standpoint and having redundancy and meeting those goals of sustainability from a solar farm. And so how could we continue to work with Cannon Air Force Base on that? The other thing when you think about resiliency, that not only applies to infrastructure, but it also applies to the family union. And so, one of the sessions that we sat in, they were talking about the Afghan refugees that were deployed to the various bases throughout the United States, and compared that to the spousal units of the military members. And so there was some commonalities amongst those from, eventually you're going to have to find jobs for those individuals. You're having to find places for them to potentially live. And that's very similar when somebody relocates to a new base. I mean, they're going through the same type of things. And so, there are some common threads amongst that. The Mayor mentioned the scorecards. It's something that there's issues that we can focus on locally, and then there's issues that we can focus on across the state, as they mentioned, the licensure, portability. And we actually learned that we can get in touch with them and work with them saying, hey, no, that is not reflected correctly on our scorecard. And so now we know the avenue in which where we can go and say, hey, our legislature just passed a bill that addresses some of this, and to try and work on those scorecards. So like the Mayor said, it's definitely lots of great insight we get. And it really, as you work with the military community throughout the year, you'll hear those same points of discussion throughout the year. So it was a great trip, and I think that we all learned a lot. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Howalt. Commissioner Burns, would you add anything on the DC trip?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say that I don't know how you do it, and I don't know if you're responsible or someone else, but this mayor knows how to get in to see people. He saw Senator Lujan, and on our return trip, I happened to run into some firemen from Albuquerque. and asked them what they were doing in DC, and they said we were asking for some money for some equipment, et cetera. And I said, I just asked, did you see Luan? And he said, no, he's not seen anyone. Well, I told him, well, our mayor saw him yesterday, so that was kind of neat. Anyway, I've attended ADC functions for over 5 years now as a representative from the Committee of 50. I truly think this is a really important organization for the city to belong to, and I appreciate that. We need to support Cannon, not only because it's important to our economy, but also because it's very important to our country and our defense. Cannon plays a major role in the defense of the United States. So just wanted to reiterate that. Some of the things that I came away from with the Secretary of the Air Force, General Brown, really concentrated on the resiliency of military bases, water, solar, sewage, etc. And I appreciate that we are hopefully working or moving forward with our solar program, but they're also wanting battery powered as part of, as well as what is it called, a mini power plant?
Microgrid?
Microgrid, thank you. And I think Cannon is ripe for that, and it's up to us as a city to pursue those grants. And that was the other thing that has been reinforced to me in the years that I've been going, is they're telling us it's up to the community to push these things through. We don't wait for the military to do it. And even General Brown commented, he said, your wing commander's there 2 years. They swap all the time. Well, we have some continuity here, and we can push these things through. And that's what other communities do, and the successful communities. So I'd really like to see that happen. And, you know, this is complicated water for us, and there are consultants out there, and I've fortunately befriended a couple that and I don't want to put on a pitch because there's lots of people out there, but we don't have to do this, and there are grants available even for the consultants' money that it takes to get the jobs done. This is really an interesting comment. A representative from Florida, can't recall his name right now, but he spoke to us and he said that the military needs to stop building bases where there's natural disasters. And I thought, man, come to Clovis. And it was interesting coming from someone from Florida that made that comment.
Right.
So that was all I had, Mayor.
Well,
Thank you.
thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate that. You know, you mentioned the things that General Brown has had to say. I've heard him say in the past, if you want to support the Air Force, take care of my airmen. And I think that means on an individual basis, being neighborly to the folks that are stationed here and welcoming them into our community and treating them like friends and neighbors. But as a city organization, that means listening to, engaging the Air Force and Cannon Air Force Base and finding out what needs exist that we may be able to help with. And it may be as simple as, well, not that it's simple to apply for grants, but it may be as simple as, you know, being made aware of a grant program that does, that provides the funding for something that they need, that they view as key to their resiliency and to their mission readiness. And so we want to continue to be students of that and continue to engage in all of this. Commissioners, any comments or questions for us on the trip to DC?
I just want to say thank you guys for making the trip and meeting with all the representatives. It's something that we need so we can have continuity and be able to talk to them on a face-to-face basis, which is very unusual. So again, thank you for the trip.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Next, we would look for a report on lodger's tax. I suppose it could be brief. We got quite a summary of lodger's tax earlier tonight, but Commissioner Garza, you want to give us
I must say I did miss the meeting. I'm not going to take any credit for what was done there, but I think what they did was just and I think it was a good meeting. They had 7 requests for a total of $146,000, and it was recommended $68,000. And two of the events that pop up in my mind that are going to contribute to the economy is the Home and Garden Show, which is going to happen at the Event Center April 2nd through the 3rd, and then the Pioneer Days, which is June the 2nd through the 4th. That's pretty much what I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. And yeah, those are great events coming up. Good, glad to hear about it. Next, a report on the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, which happened on Wednesday.
And I did attend that meeting, and it was very productive. When you have many items on the agenda, and 5 of the items are for replats, it's a good thing to have. That means that somebody's fixing to develop, and that's much needed. So that's great for everything, for the community. So that's what I have.
Agreed. Thank you for your service in both of those places, Commissioner, and I agree with your comments. I think that with what we saw in our consent agenda tonight and the other activities that we're seeing, the market is really responding to the housing crisis that we have, and that's great. Great to see developers developing. Next is a Senior Services Committee report. I chair the Senior Services Committee. We met, well, it was on the 10th. It's been a blur lately, sorry. But we met, and briefly I'll tell you what we discussed. First of all, we discussed changing the meeting time. We talked about changing the day and the time. We landed on keeping the day. So Senior Services will continue to meet on second Thursdays of odd months at 1:30 p.m. So a time change that works better for everyone. We also appointed a subcommittee for the naming of the new senior center. I typically will just say Hillcrest Senior Center. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? But we need input from the senior community first of all, and then also from the community. So what the subcommittee is going to do first is take suggestions. There are suggestion boxes going out to the senior centers, so that the seniors that are going and using these centers and participating in the activities will have the opportunity to provide input and help create kind of the first list of possible names for that. I also gave the Senior Services Committee an update on the little over $2.1 million that the city received in this last session, which will cover the gap, we hope, the gap in funding that we had in order to construct that. So again, we got $1.5 million from the governor, and we also got $614,000 from our delegation. And so very grateful to Representatives Crowder, Zamora, and Senator Woods for their help there, and also grateful to the governor for her help in covering that gap. That was Senior Services. Any questions, or are there any other reports? Very well. We will move on and talk about future agenda items. Do we have future agenda items?
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. We have on the next agenda several vacancies for various boards. We have Lodgers Tax Advisory Board vacancies, Parks and Rec, and Senior Service Committee. We're also going to have the Library Policy Manual back up for consideration, as well as a proclamation regarding Month of the Military Child. And then our IT department is looking for additional servers. So that's what we have so far.
Very good. Thank you for that. Announcement of date, time, and place of city board and commission meetings. The LEDA task force, the LEDA for Retail task force, which, by the way, I am getting anxious. I think that we're close to having the recommendations before you in order to approve a policy so that the city can begin doing retail development and incentivizing retail development and hopefully growing that gross receipts tax base. But that task force will meet at 3 p.m. on the 28th. It's been changed from what you see printed or you may or may not see printed in your agenda. It's March 28th, and we'll meet in the assembly room over at City Hall. Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Committee will meet at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, March 21st, here in the North Annex. The Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority will meet at 3 p.m. on Thursday, March 24th. We'll be down in the Portales Memorial Building for this month's board meeting. The Civil Aviation Board will meet at 5:15 p.m. on Tuesday, April 4th, here in the North Annex.
The library will close in 25 minutes.
Guys, we've got 25 minutes. be out of here in under 25 minutes. I promise you. Again, civil aviation will be on April 4th here in this room. And the next city commission meeting will be on April 7th here in the North Annex at 5:15 p.m. Commissioner Elliott and perhaps Commissioner Burns, pending the recount. And then, of course, Commissioner Madrid has already had to step away this evening, but it is an absolute pleasure and honor serving with you. And I look forward to making much about your service to the city with cake and a key to the city and all of that good stuff, okay? So that's coming up, but thank you. I know a little bit about the sacrifice of time and energy and all those things, and you've put a lot in, so thank you for that. Appreciate you, and it's a pleasure serving with all of you. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep.